This is the April 27th meeting, the Conservation Commission. And our first hearing this evening is a land disturbance permit for the Byrd Middle School. Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Land Disturbance Permit, Conservation Commission. In accordance with Walpole Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw regulations, notice is hereby given of the intent of Jim Johnson, Walpole Town Administrator, to file a land disturbance permit application for construction of a new middle school building and associated utilities, including stormwater management facilities located at 625 Washington Street, Walpole, Mass. Plans are filed at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on April 27th, 2022, beginning at 7 p.m. All interested persons are requested to be present. Contact Conservation at 508-660-7253 with questions. So, do we have anything to read into the record here? This is the permit. So we have no comments to read into the record. So representing the applicant?
Hi, good evening. I'm Marissa Valentino with Niche Engineering. I am here to talk about the land disturbance project permit for the new middle school building at the existing Byrd Middle School site. So what you see before you is the existing site. It's located at 625 Washington Street, and it's bound by Washington Street. To the east, to the south and southeast is residential homes as well as some wooded areas. To the southwest and the west is East Street as well as a baseball field, and then to the north is a wooded area. So the existing site is comprised of the school building, which is around 167,000 square feet, as well as some parking areas and landscaped areas. There is an existing stormwater infrastructure on the site, but there's no stormwater BMPs or anything. The existing site slopes from east to west, and stormwater is collected and discharged through a 15-inch pipe to East Street.
Ooh, oh no, sorry.
So this is,
Excuse me,
Yeah, sure.
Does this have any relationship to the plans we've got in front of us? Because I can't find figure 1, figure 2,
Oh,
and Jack's looking too.
oh, sure. So,
So we don't
just try-
have this.
no, you don't have
No,
this. I
I didn't think
apologize.
so.
This was just a colorized version to make it a little bit easier. I apologize if it made it harder. We just wanted to point out the areas of building, pavement, and landscape on a plan. I can pull up those plans though if it's easier.
No, I just wanted to make sure we shouldn't be leafing through these.
No, so what you have in front of you is the engineering design, but we thought it'd be easier to kind of look at a color plan, but. So what you see before you is the proposed project. It's the construction of a 3-story, 162,000 square foot middle school. All of the stormwater management will be designed to meet Mass DEP's stormwater management regulations as well as the town of Walpole's regulations. It will mitigate peak flow and volumes, as well as provide water quality treatment and groundwater recharge. We've incorporated several best management practices, BMPs, into the design, including but not limited to porous pavement, infiltrating bioretention areas, subsurface infiltration, catch basins with deep sumps and hoods, proprietary water quality treatments, and
I'm sorry, do you
Yep.
have the plan showing where those are? or-
yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah. I'll flip to the next plan. So this plan is very similar to the one you have in front of you. It's just, we have the drainage system outlined in black in this plan. So stormwater runoff is collected in several points. There are 6 subsurface infiltration systems, which you'll see here. These are storm tech chambers in stone. So stormwater is collected in catch basins and then discharged to these systems for infiltration and to meet peak flows. There's also a few bioretention areas located along the site, as well as a infiltration trench leading out to East Street, which is a 24-inch pipe and stone. There are a few dry detention basins located along the perimeters of the site that serve as low points. So they're not providing any stormwater treatment, they're just providing some storage, and that's how they were modeled. All stormwater has been designed to meet 80% TSS removal, as well as match all the peak flows going out to East Street, and provide groundwater recharge. A draft stormwater pollution prevention plan was provided. The final SWIP will be signed and provided prior to construction in accordance with the 2022 construction general permit. So just to kind of summarize, and I can go through any particular parts you'd like to, there's no new untreated discharge. The site was designed with low impact development techniques and stormwater BMPs. It's designed to minimize losses to groundwater and provide water quality treatment and TSS removal. And one additional item I just wanted to bring up, we are in receipt of a peer review letter from Beta, and we are still working through those comments.
Okay. Landis?
So I don't know.
Just for, I assume you're with
Yeah,
the
they all
engineer?
are.
Okay.
Yep.
For anybody watching on the TV, that we'll go through the commission, and then if there are any questions or comments, which there's no one else in the audience, and but it would normally be opened up to discussion for comments from the audience. So, Landis, go ahead.
So I guess I would say usually at the commission, the applicant does show those components of the stormwater management system, where the bioretention systems are, the swales, the infiltrators, a little more information than you're providing on these colored up plans. And also, do you have the stormwater and erosion control plan during construction also you should go through?
Sure. Did you want me to go through the erosion and sediment control plan?
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's part of the land disturbance permit. I know we're peer reviewing, but
Yep.
the commissioners are gonna vote, so I'm sure they would like to see what you are providing.
No problem. So. Thank you.
And if that's in the plan set, then you can reference, which one.
Yes, so this is sheet 301.
For which one, C or L?
C.
C,
What's the number?
301.
301. So this is showing the east side of the site. We'll be providing erosion control barriers along the limit of work and property line. Those will be straw wattles with silt fence. In addition, there'll be stabilized construction entrance. So the entire construction site will be fenced off, and there'll be a gate at this construction entrance, and this is to provide, so that when the trucks are coming in and out, sediment is not tracked onto Washington Street. All the existing catch basins will have filter bags in them, and this is so that during the construction process, any sediment will not make its way to the municipal system. like I mentioned, there'll be a temporary construction fence. And so the erosion control barrier will intercept stormwater and provide a barrier for any stormwater carrying potential sediment. I'm just gonna flip to sheet 302, which is just the western side. On this side, just to the west of the existing building, you'll notice we have marked out erosion control mats. Those are placed on any steep slopes so that during construction, they are stabilized and there's no runoff in those areas. There'll also be a construction entrance off of East Street. And that same construction fence that's running all around the property will continue on this side, as well as the erosion control barriers. Is there any questions on sediment and erosion control?
It's in your food. Can I ask a question?
Landis, did you have anything else at this point?
So do you have, I guess if you go through our bylaw and regulations, so you have staging areas and, washout areas, and do you have a phasing plan?
Yes, so the washout areas and the staging areas will be developed as part of the stormwater pollution prevention plan. And
They're also included in our bylaw, so we want the information prior to the swap. An idea of the stormwater management plan should show those items.
Okay. We'll make sure to include that in any revisions that we make.
And you have a phasing plan and staging area.
I'm actually gonna direct the staging questions to Matt.
So we just got the CM on board like 2 weeks
Can
ago.
you just come up to the microphone, just because it gets
Yeah.
recorded for the audience?
So we got the CM on board 2 weeks ago, Fontaine Brothers. So we've been working with them the last 2 weeks to kind of get this going, the early release package, kind of get them on board. And they're going to continue to work with Niche on the SWIP and everything else as they continue to get their plan together on how they plan to take over the site. So as they get involved more, we'll have more information from them to work together to get the SWIP and erosion control together for the different stages of the project.
Okay, if you read our regulations, a lot of that stuff that I know is also in the SWIP is in the regulations of the local bylaw. And that's so that applicants can look at those areas up front and not later on, because typically with the SWIPs, they come in later and they're like this big and they get plopped on the desk and you never see them again. So, part of the stormwater erosion control plan is actually to deal with a lot of those items at the local level prior to the SWIP. So
Okay.
they
And now that we have them on board, and are they under contract yet officially?
Yeah.
So we have them on contract now.
got signed.
So now that we'll have them on board and have them work together, and we can get those together for you.
So I think they'd have probably pulled out a few items as well, but, I would go over the regulations and either meet them or tell the commission why you can't.
Okay. Dean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess some of the questions I have are gonna be on the phasing, and, so right off the bat, I can ask any questions, right? Yep, all right. So will school be open while you're doing this?
Yes.
Oh, great, wow, and then, okay, so what's the timing for the building demolition? You're gonna build a new school and then,
Correct. The new school will get built, they will occupy the new school, and then the demo will hopefully happen before the kids are in the building. But it really depends on the time frame that the CM puts together of if the building's gonna be occupied and be in the new building and the new building comes down, or if there's partial demolition and the kids arrive in the fall for school. So that's what we're working with the CM now to try to figure out those timeframes.
so, okay, and that's all for this year, that's all for this year, right? All right, so we'll have active buses, cars, people through this construction zone?
Correct. So what they're planning right now, based on their conversation with Fontaine Brothers, is they're gonna be using this primarily as their construction entrance only. So this will be their construction entrance. We've got the second gate on the other side, so all the main deliveries will be coming in on this side from Washington, or from East Street. The only time they'll be using Washington Street is in off hours or odd deliveries that need to come into the other end of the site. So for the most part, this will be their main construction entrance. There's gonna be a temp drive put in along here, which is gonna be for buses only. So that way we're separating the bus traffic coming in from the construction traffic. So your buses will be coming in from Washington Street, coming in and exiting straight through the site, so that there's no mixing of the buses and construction traffic.
And in your phasing plan, are you gonna have demolition stockpile locations and?
Correct, yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be probably some stockpiling locations for soils. Again, this is still, we're talking with the CM on this, but you've got your path through the, kind of the woods from over here in Washington Street. So they're gonna be taking over somewhere up in this area for stockpiling, but again, that's still in negotiations with the CM.
And they're gonna stockpile their materials first, I imagine, you know, all the stuff to build a new school. and-
Correct, yeah, so they'll be stockpiling, I believe,
Okay,
back in this area. Again, this will be the main drive for everything coming in, so I believe this is kind of a good stockpiling. And this they talked about as another staging area for both materials and for soil, that said they'll have to truck it off-site.
is the building gonna have a basement?
No basement.
Okay, so slab on grade, so
Correct.
no huge soil stockpiling. Stockpiling will be generated from your stormwater
Correct.
features.
There's gonna be a lot of fill in the project, so we're trying to not take stuff off-site and then truck it back.
Okay, so, okay, we're not gonna stage soil on site. And all of the roof drains are gonna be captured in all of your stormwater?
Correct.
That's great. I mean, I'm sure we'll have more questions, but that's my initial review. No more.
Bailey?
No, not this time.
Doug?
Are your calculations for handling the stormwater based on the period of time where both buildings and parking lots are all existing at the same time?
It is not, but, the final, it's sort of like a swap between impervious area. We have not done the exact calculation, but, the building is not going in a completely undeveloped area.
Okay, but there will be a period of time where there'll be more impervious surfaces than the final setup will have, right? Right?
I would have to take a look at that calculation, and, again, we'll work with the CM on the phasing and, you know, ensure that any extra stormwater is captured.
Can be, okay. That's it. Thanks.
Media?
No questions right now.
Betsy?
Yeah, no real questions. I mean, I was looking over the beta report this afternoon, because I got it a little early, and it's 52 points, which is a long beta report.
It's not on the
Oh, I was just
topic
going to
this evening.
No, I know, but what I was gonna say is, that's why I don't have a lot of questions, because there are 52 things that we need to see, as well as the bylaws. So it feels like we're in a very, very preliminary place. I wasn't gonna mention a single thing in the beta report, but,
Okay.
you've gotta make a study of it.
Yes, we're working through those comments.
I was gonna say, it's one of the longer beta reports I've seen, so.
We also just got the testing in for the permeability tests that were done a couple weeks ago on site per the town's request. So we got those test pits done, and we just got that information actually in today. So we passed that along to Niche as well. So we'll be updating anything that's from those calculations as well.
How many
You know,
pits,
that's it.
sorry, how many pits did you have to, are you looking at? Roughly?
I think they did 6 or 7. Remember the number of pits that were done? They basically tried to hit anywhere there was infiltration, try to get in that area.
Thank you.
Was there anything else,
No,
Betsy?
that's it.
Okay. Al?
Okay, I've got a couple of questions to start with. First one is, you mentioned that the stormwater is going to be collected and treated on site, and then it leaves the site. Okay, when it leaves the site, where's it go?
Sure, so any overflow from the stormwater management systems will be discharged via that existing 15-inch pipe to East Street.
Yeah, and where's that go?
Where does it end up ultimately?
Yeah,
I believe the Neponset River.
well, is it a direct shot from there to the Neponset? Or does it end up in a brook or a pond or something else? We know everything from Walpole, except a couple small spots, ends up in the Neponset. And the couple of small spots end up in the Charles. But most of it ends up in the Neponset. But where's it go in the interim? And is that capacity still there? Or does it date back to the 1800s and is very inadequate at this point? So I want to know where the stormwater goes when it leaves this site, and not just say it goes into the system. I want to know where that system takes it and where it ultimately opens up and drains out. That's my first question. Second question is, you mentioned erosion control and such, and I've turned to C601, which has some details, but I'm not sure what these details are showing. I see a place that says there's a wattle. Well, what is that wattle? Is it a straw wattle, or is it what we usually use as compost stuff? And we usually use some kind of silt fence and an orange construction fence to keep the tractors and machines from driving over the erosion control. So I don't see those things very clearly shown on this plan. The plan, as I see it, is pretty much a general thing that you use every time you have to print out a sheet. So I want to have an explanation of what the erosion control really consists of, and how does that match with our usual operation. I see a little detail with a wattle and a silt fence, but I don't see the orange construction fence next to it, or the alternate, which in many cases we accept an orange silt fence because it is orange and takes the place of the orange construction fence and a visible warning. So I'd need to have more explanation of, not just say that we're gonna have erosion control. So that's the big thing on my mind for a big site like this. I think that we've had some bad experiences with town projects in the past, where we've had contractors remove the silt sacks and catch basins because it was holding back water because it was full of silt, okay? And ends up in a pond, which then had to be cleaned, okay? So I want to make sure that this large town project is done right and is done in such a way that it sets a proper example for all other contractors in town. We don't want to have some contractor tell us that, well, the town didn't have to do that. So that's where I'm at. Those are the things that I'm going to look at on this set of plans. Okay?
Sure. Can I address your first comment and then your second comment?
Yeah.
I think your first comment was about stormwater capacity offsite, and what we have studied is the existing stormwater flows, the peak volumes and the peak flows, and we have made sure that in the proposed conditions they will be less than those existing flows. So we'll actually be decreasing the amount of stormwater to the municipal system.
Well, in rebuttal to that, I think you know as well as almost everybody else in town that we do have flooding problems, and we do have because of this controversial thing called climate change, that some of our storms are much larger and more rain all of a sudden, and I want to make sure that we are planning ahead and making sure that we have the capacity to take care of the new storm systems that are hitting us. Because we've had storms recently that we've never had before, you know. I've been working on the Conservation Commission here for many, many years, and the weather systems that are hitting Walpole now are much different than when I started in the 50s. Okay, so those are the kind of things I'm looking at. I also want to see if we have solar panels on the roof.
Not any longer.
Why not?
It's a fire hazard.
Value engineered.
The firefighters won't, you have to cut the electricity if you have solar panels on your roof.
So we're going to go back to gas and oil and,
Maybe find another place for the solar panels.
It's a big field out here.
Isn't there another project?
okay, but
Okay.
we're concerned about land disturbance at this point.
Yes, yes. we are.
Understood, and for the sediment and erosion control, I think sheets 301 and 302 show the locations of these, but we'll also be working with the CM to develop that SWIP, and as part of that, there'll be weekly inspections required by a qualified inspector to ensure that the contractor is maintaining those sediment and erosion controls.
And is there anything else, Al?
No, that's my.
On your southerly side, you're going to run a temporary exit road for the buses, you said? Paved,
I believe they are paving that, right? That's gonna be paved, yes.
okay? And have you got a drainage system for that?
I don't believe there's drainage right now for that.
Say that again?
I don't believe they have drainage for that right now in their current plans.
So it's just gonna run down and run out onto East Street. It all runs down from the
That direction.
site down to East Street. It's all downhill. I think that is something that, particularly if it's paved, how you've got a fairly large area that could just pick up in a heavy storm, and it's just gonna run down and dump into East Street without any treatment?
Okay, we'll have to review that with the CM and get some sort of treatment for that driveway.
Okay. What happens after the construction to that road?
It's most likely coming out. It's just temporary for the buses until the main bus loop is built and the site is complete.
Nice.
Okay,
So
so
there's a walking path there right now.
Uh.
So they're basically gonna take that walking path that's there and widen it for their road. And then once the construction's complete, they'll go back to the typical walking path that was there.
okay, if that is left as pavement, then we need to have a permanent drainage
Drainage
system.
yeah. Understood.
So that needs to be looked at, if it's temporary or permanent, what you use there.
For management, okay.
And with proper treatment before it's discharged, because then East Street from there, where that's gonna, I don't know where it's gonna go to. But I think that area is a little bit higher than the next intersection. I don't know if there's another street, I don't think there's any street off of there between there and where you're coming out on the north side. So if you're dumping water out there, just, I don't know, the question is, well, where's it gonna go?
Okay.
Not only
Into
treated.
into the front yard of a couple of houses across the
Well,
street.
That's what I'm concerned about, that there's treatment for it, and then where does that runoff wind up going? There needs to be some way to collect that and put it so it does not cause a problem to the abutters across the street. Okay,
There are catch basins on that street though, right? On East Street?
I'd have to look there because it starts going, where this comes out is around the low spot.
Yeah.
If you're going back towards town, you have the intersection of High Plain. If you're going up, you've got, you're going uphill to the construction entrance along where the ball field is there.
It's up.
So I don't know where, if you're dumping a lot of water out there, where's it gonna go? And you've also got abutters all along that, the south side, on the south side of your bus road.
Down over here, yeah.
Down here, you have abutters all along there, so you can't just dump it out on their yard.
Right, right, right.
Okay?
I think a lot of water usually goes in the front part of those fields. I've seen it. It accumulates in the
Just-
front part of those fields.
Puddles in the,
There's almost like a little depression there. It's almost a semi-basin, but, yeah, I agree, they need to look into it.
well, it's just, I don't know where this, depending how this road gets built, on which way the water's gonna go, so.
Or it sheds
Okay.
off to that front field area.
Yep. Okay, no one in the audience. Well, I think, oh,
Some more
Dean,
questions?
yes.
So I see there's some USTs on their property, some gas tanks. Can we ensure that those are removed in accordance with the MCP? I don't know how old those tanks are or their condition. You guys plan on hiring an LSP for that? No, that is the face of no. You have underground storage tanks,
Oh,
correct?
Yeah, this is Chin Lin from Compass. Yes, we're aware that there are underground storage tanks, and then they are in the project to be removed, and then so all the appropriate steps and the LSP will be part of the project, yes.
As long as it's observed by an LSP, we screen storage.
It has been identified, and then there has been at least one boring that was at the, as close as we can reasonably, to put a boring to find out whether we have any leakage from over the years. We try to find out, yes, we done the homework.
Can you send that to us? Can we get that?
You guys have that information because I know that Sentinel, that was one of the locations that they
Mhm.
put in. Yeah. That is, the project team has that, we can send
Yeah,
it.
sure, that'd be great. And then, and so you guys are going to be grubbing and cutting trees? Do you know how many acres or land of trees we're cutting and grubbing?
I don't have that number. The entire project site is about a little over 11 acres, and there's a little over 3 acres of new impervious surface.
And then, so in your phasing plan, I'd like to see grubbing, where you guys are gonna stockpile that material, the phasing, you know, where it's gonna go, if you're gonna be grading. all that. And then, Landis, what do we ask these folks to assess when we, it's like, gosh, greener ways to construct?
A1?
Okay, I'll have to get back to you.
The BMPs, the best management practices.
You know, it's in our bylaws, you know this, but we asked the applicants to evaluate a way to not cut down as many trees in their design. What is that called? There's an acronym for it.
It's not coming to me
Okay,
at the moment.
sorry to put you on the spot.
Either, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
I know they have a few bioretention areas which are helpful, but as far as looking at the site to design within natural contours and keep some of the trees and stuff. Yeah, you should probably address that if you can't, I then encourage to go to our regulations and bylaw and address everything that's in it. If you can or cannot do it, why you can't, but, that's all part of the process, so. And there are certain items there, swales or designing, more with the natural contour of the land, why you can or cannot do that. I mean, if it's, because you're trying to build a new building while the old building is there, understood, but all those items should really be addressed.
No more questions from me.
Okay. Nobody else has any questions, so we'll continue this until our next meeting. We would,
Question, do you have enough time to do this by the next meeting? That's what I was getting at with this beta report. It's extraordinarily long. Can you do it by the next meeting?
Is the next hearing when are the next hearing? May 11th. To get back to you on that.
we need to schedule the continuation of the hearing.
I just thought 2 weeks might not be enough for them.
Well, the plan was to discuss the beta report at the next hearing. Is that still the thing to do, or you want to wait another, or second meeting in May?
Well, I would encourage you to continue to the May 11th, and if they're not ready to let us know, and then continue it further, but I think,
Would we be able to discuss the beta report?
yeah, it
On
was,
that
it was
date?
never intended that you couldn't look at it or say anything, it was just I knew they weren't ready, so that, no, they weren't ready to have a full
No.
conversation, and I didn't tell Phil to come to the meeting tonight. It wasn't because it was kind of
Yeah,
like,
that's part of the issue
Yeah.
is we would have the representative from beta at the meeting.
yeah, yeah.
So-
Yeah, I think probably between now and May 11th, we can have some staff conversations with Phil and myself and go over the bylaw, regulations and what additional information, the commission would like to see. And then, I would encourage you to continue to May 11th anyways, and
I would think to be prepared to review the beta report.
sure,
And if
yes.
there's more, it's very likely there may be a need to continue after that. But I think it's the pertinent to get the beta report reviewed, so you should have time enough to do that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we'll continue this till May 11th. What do we have on the agenda? Anything at this point?
We have 3 items. So it's looking like,
We don't have them listed. What do we got?
provided a draft agenda.
Yeah, we got it.
So we have, continuation of West Street, 965 West Street at 7 o'clock. We have a new application for 5 Cardinal Lane at 7:15, and then 18 Deborah Drive at 7:30.
I don't see it, but anyhow, maybe it's here. All right, so what are we, time-wise, where are we? You have a draft agenda? Oh, okay, I got it here. So we have a 7, a 17, 7:30. So you want to make it 7:45? Would that seem to fit? Okay, so we'll continue this till 7:45 on May 11th. So someone will make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained. 700. Okay, thank you, we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Okay. everybody got a copy of the beta report with the instructions that Ashley sent out? Don't read it tonight, but read it for the next meeting.
I mean, who reads the stuff right the day of the game?
Thank you, Ashley. Stephanie. Somebody's- oh. Stephanie. Somebody else. Okay. This is the agenda for next meeting.
I know, it's sad,
All right, all right, we have minutes from April 13th. Does someone want to make a motion for the minutes of April 13th?
I'll move.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Okay, so those, April 13th is okay. We also have minutes from May. All right, we have them, May 26th, 2021.
I'll move those.
You're moving them? You were here? Yes, okay,
Second.
and Betsy second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. There's, everybody was here, okay? And we also have a minutes from June 23rd, 2021. Someone want to move those immediately? Good enough?
I'll second.
Betsy second. All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
opposed, abstained, 700.
Let's bring back
Everybody was here.
memories.
Good times, good times.
Good times. Oh, no complex.
How I missed the.
The minutes. All right, next meeting, we have on here the Zoom policy. So, what are our options? I won't be here at the next meeting, and you're not gonna be at the one after that, is that right?
Yeah, but that's all right.
And I'm missing the next meeting also.
You're gonna miss the next
May
meeting.
11th?
May 11th.
I want to suggest that we go back to what we did before the pandemic, before we knew even what that word meant. I mean, for the dozen or so years that I was on, the vice chair takes over if the chair can't. I mean, that's why Al has a giant placeholder and we don't. I'm just not so sure that I want to go back to all sorts of hybrid things.
I mean, we do have Stephanie now.
Yeah.
I'm saying that I think that she would be excellent at managing the hybrid model for us. She has something on the screen that's amazing.
Maybe, but actually,
Truly amazing.
I think maybe just Emilio remembers from before the pandemic. It was just simply that if you couldn't be there, well, if we still had a quorum, fine. I mean, we have to have a quorum, and a quorum's not that actually hard to get. And there's a reason we have a vice chair, and I'm just wondering if there's anything wrong with just doing that.
What are other boards doing? Do you have any idea?
I don't.
Not
I'm
that-
on I go to lots of concoms, just because of my job and for my group that I'm in, licensing and permitting. They go to concoms all the time. A lot of them are still fully hybrid. So a lot of concoms are fully hybrid until July.
I thought he meant in Walpole.
Oh, I'm really sorry.
I think in Walpole.
But I know what other contractors
did,
are
but
doing
that's okay.
also, so.
That's all right.
But yeah, they're doing, like I said, they are doing lots of hybrids and they're still remote.
So Jack, what if we were to go back to the way we used to do it? You could have a more relaxing time in Michigan or wherever, and not have to try to get on, and Al will be the
Yeah,
chair.
just
and-
whatever, I may be able to get on. You said I could maybe pick up the Walpole Community TV on YouTube, so I can watch it.
You can watch it.
can't vote.
Yeah.
It's delayed though, it'd be
It
tough.
is slightly delayed.
It's slightly delayed, but it's not so bad. I mean, I've watched meetings that way.
Can we,
Because I think, I mean, we keep sort of postponing and postponing, but at some point, I think I'd like to sort of get back to just the way we did it and not make such a great big deal out of it. Yeah, I'm gonna be gone the 25th. No Zoom, it's fine. I'll watch the video and I'll keep up with what you guys are doing.
I think in general, so we don't want to go back to Zoom.
I personally don't.
I do. I think the hybrid, I think we can support the hybrid model.
Well, we voted against it back in February, whatever,
No, we voted against,
having hybrid going forward, and we had like a deadline for ourselves, and it was,
I thought that was going back in person.
we said that we were gonna have a deadline on the last hybrid meeting, and we were gonna go back to in-person.
Why?
I thought we were all back in person
Yeah.
as well
Yeah.
now.
When we voted
Yeah.
on it.
Okay, then.
Well, I would prefer a hybrid model, quite frankly.
Well, we voted on it already then.
I know,
right?
so I don't
Yeah,
really know
so
why
it's
we're
on
talking
point,
about it
yeah.
again.
Because it wasn't clear with all the members, so I
Oh.
wanted to make sure it was clear. And I,
Because it was a hybrid meeting.
Wow.
So,
I just.
because
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think in-person is good, and it does, like, one of the last hybrid meetings we had, it was kind of like,
Oh, yeah.
one person wasn't gonna come, and then by the end of the night, Betsy and I were sitting here.
Yeah, Rob was here.
So there was
I
a lot
remember.
of last minute, and I'm not,
Right.
you know, things came up, but it was, we prepared for in-person meeting, and
yeah.
Betsy and I ended up being the one people here, so.
Well, I was sick, so I'm sure you didn't want me to come.
No, okay, so then you should come. I mean, if we ever don't have a quorum, then we won't
Wait a
meet.
minute,
Sorry,
Blandis is
it is
talking.
easier to plan for one or the other and not kind of always be in flux, because.
Well, I think there's two to distinguish. One is hybrid for members, and one would be hybrid, including the general public. And I think it's been established that you could have, require the meeting for the general public to be in person, and if there was a member who couldn't be there, that could be hybrid. So I think if that is any issue with anybody as far as deciding whether to go hybrid or not.
All right, so Jack, for years and years, you were okay with letting Al be vice chair while you were,
It's not a question, that's not the issue. I think it's more of being able to participate in the meeting. Zoom allowed that during the pandemic. That was a legal way to conduct meetings, as opposed to, there's some boards, at least initially, they just didn't have meetings.
yeah, including us. for a while.
Well, I think we pretty much went to Zoom right away, but I think there were some boards that didn't meet, at least as regularly as they did. So, so Zoom served a purpose. So the question is, do we want to, I think it's still a viable, still a legal means of having a meeting.
It
At
might be
least.
legal to some time limit that the governor's gonna give us. Now, I guess it's pushed to July, but I think, especially if we get great, huge plans like this projected up there or projected on your screen is just simply not doing justice to it. I know we
Well,
had to
that's-
do it for 2 years, but I don't think it was like a faint version of what we should be doing.
That's allowing the applicant and the public to continue to use Zoom. That's what I said, there's a distinction here that
So-
we need to
I'd be in
consider.
favor of, I agree that you lose something, whether it be in business or work, or here or anywhere else, you lose a little something when you're doing it virtually. I agree that being here, having your hands on the plans, and talking to each other face to face is beneficial. It is more conducive to what we're trying to do. I wouldn't be opposed to having the public and the presenters able to Zoom to our meetings. What did I say?
Presenters?
Presenters and the public being able to Zoom to, into our meeting. Do you know what I mean? If
So
that's-
mean like these three?
Yeah,
Zooming in?
if they're unable, for some reason they're traveling, or if they're,
So the plans that they showed us tonight,
right,
over there,
Mhm.
up there.
right.
So
Well, they would still have to give us these, the same as what they're showing. They didn't tonight, but I mean, they should, right? Ideally, that's what happens. Anyway, that's my position.
it's,
You have yours. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Okay.
we have ours. I heard a quote this week. I happen to be a member of an obscure society called the Society for Industrial Archaeology. It involves sometimes looking at plans of old mills.
Secret
It's-
handshake.
Yeah, it's a weird,
Nick Cage involved?
weird group.
Mickey.
And one of the members commented, because someone wanted to take a gigantic plan of an old mill site and reduce it down to 8.5 by 11, so it will go out to our newsletter.
Like, how you gonna,
Because we have a newsletter, in case you want to subscribe to it, Dean. Okay, and someone commented, there's a reason people put stuff like this on giant plans. It's not because they want to waste paper. It's because if you're looking for that one tiny little pipe that goes, half an inch or something, it's just not going to happen up there. I just don't feel like for the last 2 years, we did justice
No, I understand.
to
I agree.
what our charge is. I know we had to do it, and thank goodness we could meet and all that kind of stuff, so no one got their septic systems held up, but it just doesn't feel like the right thing for what our charge is.
Right. I'm not saying that they shouldn't still provide us with these. I'm just saying they could do what she did, provided the correct plans virtually. But I agree that we should meet here as we did
And
before.
actually, the question is like, okay, so we should meet here.
Landis, are the folks still require our applicants to upload everything onto the internets?
Well, we require them to provide us with a digital copy, which we upload onto the website.
Okay, great.
Anyway.
In my position, I would say it's either or, all or nothing. In person, I think it's great when we're all here, but Zoom's also great when everyone's in Zoom. But I think having Jack up here, trying to listen on plans, on a delay, would be very challenging.
How long are you gonna be gone, Jack? Just the one time?
Just the next, next meeting, the 11th. And I won't be in Michigan. It's
Okay, where are you, Illinois,
It's Missouri,
Missouri, same thing,
please.
whatever.
Wow.
You're on public
They're very-
You can't be
Jesus.
saying that, you can't be biased.
Okay, I've got a question. How
People in
come
Michigan, they'd be
here, we're sitting here, and the screen opposite us was black? That's the one that should have been on. I don't know what this one is on for, because nobody sitting here can read it at an angle like this,
It's
so.
for the public.
I'll tell you why, Al. Because Stephanie has to sit within close proximity to the jack where she puts her
Yeah.
computer.
You mean
Same
that the two
technology.
aren't connected together somewhere?
I can
That's
tell you,
crazy.
So she would either be sitting way over there, she
That's
could
crazy.
answer the question better. Go.
If
Yeah.
the board prefers, I'm sorry to interrupt the
No.
conversation.
Oh,
about
wait a
this,
There it is.
but
Wait a
if-
minute.
If the board
Unless
prefers,
we're
Yeah,
all
the
lined.
there is a
technology.
jack over there, I see it.
Stephanie, can you cast?
It might be able to be connected to the one that she's
Stand by.
already in.
Please hold.
we're gonna triplicate my model.
Magic.
Drum roll, please.
I know, we're all like.
I understand about the
Mr.
jack
Manapier's.
being there, but why isn't it connected to that one too? You know,
It's right there.
He's working on it.
Jack's right there.
Okay, so what do we wanna do?
The simple answer is that if they can't duplicate here, I can sit over there to display on that screen if it helps the board. So
I can't see that. I wouldn't be able to see, I can't see that. I wouldn't be able to see all this stuff, so.
Okay, so I move that Jack, you have a genuine vacation, and then the week after, I'll have a genuine vacation. And it's okay, because Al has been chair many, 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 many times, including in Norwood.
Boo,
There's the answer.
failed.
And Jack, I've even been chair when both the two of
Yeah.
you had to be gone,
Yeah,
and I didn't do such a horrible job, I don't think. So,
Are these TVs connected to the Wi-Fi?
No, that's a no.
okay,
You guys are
so,
swaying to,
so what's
swing out of the
the,
box.
what's the outcome? What do you wanna do?
I move you have a real vacation, Jack, and then just watch the video. And not try to be chairing from,
Oh, I wasn't, that
The
wasn't the
Midwest.
point.
So in person,
yeah.
yeah, so why it's on the agenda is for you guys to set up a policy, not just Jack, you
Oh,
do
no,
this,
no,
but a policy. The policy being
Yeah.
that
All
it's
meetings
in
in
person, everyone meet in person. If you can't attend a meeting,
You tell
if
us.
you miss one public hearing for that particular project, you can go on and look at the video and get us back Mullen Rule form. Or it's, if you can't attend the meeting, but you can Zoom in, the commission's gonna allow that, so, for commissioners. But the media's also brought up that we should open it up for applicants and other people too, so that.
Yeah, I'm curious, has there ever been an instance where,
It would
say,
still only be
someone with
temporary.
a specific disability couldn't come, but they needed to, bring something to the board for whatever reason?
You talking about
A letter, they could write a letter to us.
Yeah, which is very effective, because we read them aloud. It's actually almost more effective to
I'm
write
just
a letter.
interested if they might be interested in participating versus just being able to send a letter and then listening to you guys discuss it and not being able to discuss it
So
with
I
you.
think the building meets ADA requirements for someone to come to the public hearing.
Sure. Guess I'm talking about other types of accessibilities too, And then there's, just, I think change is good, change can be positive. I think you get a younger generation once you involve more digital aspects to access public government, forums, just my 2 cents.
So who would draft the policy, and how do we get the conditions?
Well, it's just a discussion tonight, so that we have, we'll make sure it's in the minutes, so we know that that's what the commission as a body wants.
Well, we were gonna also discuss, because we have a real situation, so I would actually wanna move that we meet as usual next meeting, and,
Well, don't restrict it to next meeting. This
No.
is a,
Okay,
we
all
want
right,
a
all right.
general, that
Unless
we
it's
will
particular.
meet in, our meetings will be in person and not, Zoom will not be available,
Right.
not be an option.
I would agree to that, and also, like I said, I would propose that we allow applicants and to present virtually,
so
via Zoom.
I don't like the applicant idea, because they do an awful lot with pointing at things and coming over and pointing to something right here. I can remember many, many times, like, where is that on this? Here it is, kind of thing. To me, what our strength is that we're extremely interactive with the engineers that come before us. And so is the public. I mean, if we have a really serious hearing, we'll have people lined up wanting to. So I'm really hesitant to say that, no, you can stay in Westwood or wherever you are and put it up on that screen there.
Well, sorry to devil's advocate your point, if they're pointing to your piece of paper, not only can no one else see it, but the public can't see what they're pointing at either. So sometimes if you just have some presentation skills, you can use your pointer and zoom in and circulate, circle what you're trying to point out and make it easier for everybody to see it.
Unless you're John Gloss.
Yeah.
He's gotten a lot better. I have faith in him.
Thanks to you.
You've been helping.
I think we saw that during the roughly 2 years we were doing Zoom, that there was, it wasn't the same thing. There was something missing between applicant's presentation and the commission being able to respond and understand. And I think in person, the applicants should be in person, and also anyone in, there is an audience that it should be, or they can address a letter if they can't attend, which has been done in the past. But I think it's the in-person presentation is much desirable compared to what we had during the Zoom. It served a purpose at that time because of the situation, but I think in general, when that kind of, unless you have a similar situation, that it is better that we have in-person presentations.
Okay.
So, do we need a motion, or is that enough discussion that you can,
So,
conclude that?
just to be clear, so the commission is in agreement that they will attend in-person meetings, and if they can't come to the meeting, then they're absent and they can review one meeting. It's also, the open meeting laws haven't really changed, so you're gonna have to go back to regular formal meetings anyway, so in-person meetings, so that's an agreement.
Can I, question, we're limited, if we're unable to make a meeting, we can view it online and sign the paperwork that we followed along with the discussion, but only once.
No,
Correct.
one
Per public hearing.
per
So
meeting,
a
so one per
public-
project.
Per project.
A public hearing is for, right, so tonight there was one public hearing for Bird Middle School. Sometimes on our agenda, we have 3 public hearings at a public meeting. This is a public meeting. Within the public meeting, you have public hearings. So it's for each public hearing.
So some of
You
them
can
go
only
long.
miss once.
Some of them are long.
For each public.
So you'd have to abstain. You couldn't, if you miss more than those.
Correct.
Right.
It can get complicated too from an attendance perspective if you are missing more than one. It can jeopardize the public hearing itself, if you're absent and we don't have a quorum or something like that, so that's something to keep in mind as well.
Right, and luckily for quite a number of years, we've been good. There was definitely a time where we were having quorum problems, and we did change the bylaw to include the quorum. It included the quorum of whatever
Active
seating
members.
active members, rather than a quorum of the 7. So if we went down to 5, the quorum would be 3. If we were 7, the quorum is 4. So go with whatever the active members are, not those sitting in the room, but actively on board. So, you all have been very great at coming to the public hearings. Well, Zoom helped, but, so we haven't had an issue with quorum in a while, but, yeah.
Okay. Master plan update, anything new?
So do we need to?
There's a meeting tonight. Why aren't you guys there? You guys could have zoomed in. This could have been the last day.
Jeff, excuse me, do we need to move that?
Motion, I
The
didn't.
motion?
I
I
don't
make a motion that all,
Did you want to,
I read the
just what, you wanted a motion?
I just wanted to be clear, but yeah, I wanted to make
Go
a
ahead and
motion.
move
that
it. I'll
it's
second
a
it.
policy.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold it up.
I make
Making a motion?
that the meetings are in person, both for presenters and for the commissioners.
Is there a second? Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained.
Nay.
Hey,
502,
Oh,
520, right? 2 opposed?
Yeah, I'm a yay.
Okay,
2,
okay, 520, okay. All right, Now, back
Master
to,
plan, yes, so we've done our
back to,
CRMs, nothing since the last meeting. We were to submit our CRMs, which is a form that we're supposed to take notes on our submittals. That was due yesterday. So all of the consultants have all of our notes and edits and questions. So there is a meeting tonight at the high school. Sadly, I could not be there. I had to be here, first duty first. But other than that, they'll collect that data and then spit out another report. So things are moving, it's happening. Really interesting stuff.
Good, good.
Does the master plan committee, have people zooming in?
Yes, they are all remote.
They're all zooming in to the high
It's
school.
100, no. The master plan meetings are remote.
Oh, okay, but the high school one, you're all there, right?
That, everyone's there, but they will follow it up with a Zoom meeting. I
okay,
mean, Bailey is right, it does reach a lot more people.
okay.
But this is the Concom.
Thank you for that info. Anything new on Pinnacle Point?
No.
Okay. Conservation land update. You had some comment there.
So in my report, I just wanted to let the commission know that the Norfolk County surveyors have been out on the site, the new parcel on Norfolk Street, surveying the bounds and contours, and I went out there today, hung up a few flags along the stream that was on our property. The stream basically starts at North Street and goes onto the property, and then it goes to the other side of the wall onto the adjacent property. So I just flagged the portion of the stream that's on our property. And then further down towards Willett Pond, it was pretty close to the property and on the Neponset Land Holding property. So I hung up a couple flags there. The last flag that I hung up was the narrowest spot there on the stream. So I thought that was good crossing place. So that'll be the last flag. So they were gonna survey those also, and put them on the plan. And apparently there's a nesting bald eagle out there.
Oh, cool.
On the island,
On the island.
yeah, so I've been told. Yeah.
Yeah, and they hunt, they hunt the field.
That's so cool.
So, the Anna's Farm Committee had someone from the land, from the neighbor, whatever their organization is called, I forget exactly, but the abutters of the pond, so come and present their position as far as people using the pond. So I think at some point when we get that survey data and decide what we're gonna do with that property, that we invite that group representative in just to discuss their position on that. One concern is that with another spot for a party spot. So that was one of their concerns. But anyhow, I just think that would be appropriate at some point, but not, I think it's a little premature now because we don't have a plan of what we're gonna do with that property, so I think that, because I think nothing's gonna be done till we get that survey from the
Right, so-
county, right?
Right, so we'll get the survey and then we can hopefully price out how much it's gonna cost to put a turnout there, and then what, putting a trail down towards the water, and it is a public access easement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Public access easement on our property, the
No,
conservation property?
On the Neponset property.
Yeah.
Is the public access easement, yes.
But there's no way to get to it right now, other than through, prior to that, it was privately held. You couldn't get to that easement from the land.
Right, but it was negotiated based on that
Yeah.
parcel being given to an entity that would allow
Yeah.
public access.
Now, also, was that I looked at the beach area, and the Neponset River Land Holding Association and NEPRA have a big sign up of what's allowed, what isn't allowed on that little,
That's the other public access
of
easement.
public access. There's no parking
On Brook
on
Street.
that, on
Yeah.
Brook Street. Just a narrow, you can come in and
Yeah.
bring your car in off the road, but you can't park there. So you could unload and then go do whatever you're gonna do with your car. And there's no, I don't think there's any parking on Brook Street either. So, but there is a sign which we'd probably want a similar, have them put up a similar sign on their property where this public access
There
is.
is language in the public access easement for a sign,
Yeah,
that there needs to be a sign.
so, anyhow,
quiet.
I think at some point it would be worthwhile, but not at this point in time, till we get something more lined up of what we're gonna do there.
Right, I also, the woman, the person who lives in the house in front of the lot came in and spoke to me as well, so, yeah.
The one on North
I-
Street?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that people think as soon as a piece of property becomes public for access, that all of a sudden parties are gonna materialize. It seems like every time we get a new piece of property, that's the first thing people say, so I think that's unfortunate, and it generally doesn't work that way, so, but I agree that we should reach out to all the parties
Yeah.
who will be involved to,
I think the one plus for that is there will be no parking on the conservation.
it's also
Yeah.
gonna, I mean, if you go out there, if you've been out there, and I was talking to this person, someone's gonna really have to wanna go out there, because it's a really long walk from
Yeah.
North Street to access to the pond. You know, the more I go out there, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if anyone's really gonna wanna carry anything this
Well,
distance, or
yeah,
are they
yeah.
just gonna wanna go on a little nature walk?
yeah.
I'm guessing most people are just gonna wanna go on a little nature walk down to the pond. And,
So,
I guess talking to all the different parties that are concerned is definitely important.
okay. Enforcement orders, anything new?
Nothing new on the enforcement orders,
Okay,
other than the, sorry, I'm looking, just as far as Burns Ave, yeah, I think everyone knew that we did go to the courthouse last, on when was that? When was
last Thursday.
that? Last Thursday, and the hearing was continued to May 12th.
Okay.
So-
Why, what happened?
Well, we would have
Laptop.
to put on the agenda executive session for Burns Ave case to then go into executive session and talk about it.
Okay.
We can put it on the 11th to give an update of what's happened.
Let's do that.
Jack and
Yeah.
Doug won't be there. Is that okay with everybody?
I
don't
won't,
know what happened.
I won't be there for the court date. I will not be available for that.
How crucial is that, Jack? For you to be
Well,
appointed?
I said hello to the town engineer, said hello to the magistrate, and that was it. Basically, town council and the magistrate and the applicant did the talking. And so I just sat there and nodded.
Big bucks.
Good job.
Oh, I think it just, I don't expect anything different. Do you? As far as anybody wanting to go, if you do, it's worthwhile exposure to how those things work. And the time it takes to wind up getting it, which wasn't as bad as the last time. So talk to Landis if she needs company or not. All right, so that, those are okay. The mill site, that's still nothing's come back on that from the court. That was all, we presented all our information through town council. I don't know what, were they gonna, it's just waiting to hear back, because was there a court date, I think?
Right, the court date is still in June,
That's
so all
still
the
there,
documents were
yeah.
being prepared for that June date, and then the summary to dismiss, but I have not. I have no updates.
There hasn't been any decision on that request?
No.
So that's still sitting there. So that's, I guess that's it. There's nothing else. Anybody else have anything else? Is there anything else that I have?
I just put in my report, so we had a correspondence from Eversource, April 19th, notification for maintenance on the right-of-way 10, which is northeast of High Street, began this week. That was supposed to be 425, not 225, sorry. Basically, when they go, but, along the right-of-way.
Yeah, I ran into an arborist. He's the right-of-way arborist up at the Donna on a road gate, and he was checking things out. So I guess, I assume he says he supervises. He doesn't do anything himself. He just supervises. They hire some other firm to do any trimming or whatever, and he is there to supervise. So,
And then a board comment, there's a planning board, 1429 Marion Street Extension, a one-lot subdivision. There's no jurisdiction as far as the Conservation Commission is concerned. It's a little confusing exactly what they're doing, but it's not like a true subdivision.
Do we have any jurisdiction for the Home for Little Wanderers thing? That the planning board looked at?
What is, I don't know what
It's
you're
a
talking about.
subdivision there, I guess, or some house lots. Maybe we
Was
don't.
this a preliminary subdivision plan?
I thought it was something that they had looked at recently.
So a preliminary subdivision plan, they don't send it to us for comment.
Oh, okay.
The preliminary subdivision plan is just sort of going to the planning board to get comments of what.
Okay. Actually, that might have been what it was.
It's the definitive subdivision plan, that we would get a copy and a comment letter from the planning board. I haven't seen it yet.
anybody have anything else? Any other questions? Okay, someone want to make a motion to close the meeting? Are you ready for us? Okay, someone make a motion to close the,
I'll move it.
you got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,